Hello again. Lawyers for former President Jacob Zuma and the Gupta family were the first to address the inquiry into state capture. Both parties say they need more time to prepare to cross-examine witnesses. At the heart of it all, the inquiry is investigating how a family managed to embed themselves so deeply in the state. The formidable Gupta family empire was seemingly armed with the power to hire and fire government ministers. This played out in the form of late-night cabinet reshuffles under former President Jacob Zuma. But even more sinister was the Gupta's ability to allegedly fleece state coffers and win lucrative contracts worth billions. To unpack today's proceedings is ENCA's Aaron Bates. So we are going to talk about what happened today, but I know that you're quite keen to answer the questions posed by the two corners.
Yes, so Sifiso in Newcastle, I think it was, and Lindani as well. Just in terms of the ambit of the state capture inquiry, something that came up quite strongly this morning. It was a bit drab and dry, a lot of legalese, but Advocate Paul Pretorius, who's involved with the legal team, along with Advocate Vincent Maleka, some real legal heavyweights, were highlighting, Pretorius especially, the terms of reference for the inquiry, which President Jacob Zuma set out in January before he stepped down, which were then amended by President Cyril Ramaphosa, and they're in fact on the state capture website. But what's important there is that they don't only pinpoint the Zuma family, the Gupta family, they really do in certain clauses or chapters address broader questions of the capture of the state from national through to municipal government. And so any members of the public who do have information on that are invited and in fact urged at this point to come before the inquiry and present that information. So whether you're in the Free State, the Northwest or the like, there is ambit for that kind of input.
And talk us through the concerns. I touched on it briefly with my guests about the State Security Agency and not getting the clearances that they need. How is that going to play out?
Well, this is such a key point. You know, the chairperson of the inquiry, Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, highlighting some of the hindrances to their work and very pointedly mentioning the State Security Agency. And if you read the President's Keepers by Jacques Poe, you get a sense of the kind of leadership the State Security Agency had under the former administration. So certainly some serious questions there. But Zondo's saying that they really haven't, as I put it in a package for ENCA this evening, lifted a finger. They haven't provided the necessary clearance for investigators who need to do work for this inquiry. And this is in fact what Zondo had to say on that front.
This Security State Agency had not been able to meet our expectations and requests in terms of an expeditious processing of security clearance.
And it certainly seems that this might be a different commission, that we might possibly get more answers than we've seen in the past in those that haven't worked. What did you see today, especially as the sort of lawyers, the quality of the lawyers out there?
Well, it's real heavyweights, and a worrying question is, you know, does power buy you good legal representation that isn't available to a person who appears before a municipal court because they've stolen a loaf of bread? But certainly interesting to see counsel for former President Jacob Zuma, and the tone today so different from what we've seen before in terms of Zuma's approach to the state of capture report. Lawyers for Zuma saying they want to participate, they're eager to be a member of this process, but that they also received letters from the inquiry late in terms of incriminating evidence that Zuma now needs to respond to. And for me, Jane, the real key takeaway from today is that counsel for Zuma, the Guptas, former Public Enterprises Minister Lynn Brown and the like are keen for cross-examination, something that hasn't been conceded to yet by the inquiry, but they really want to clash swords here in the inquiry sort of forum over these allegations of state capture, capturing SOEs and the like.
And if Zuma's in the crosshairs here, will he be called in? Can he be called in, and can he say no?
Can he not be called in? I mean, if you look at the terms of reference that he himself signed and had published in the Government Gazette in January of this year, the 25th of January it was, he is so much a part of what's in the own terms of reference he set out that the sort of obvious question is, why wouldn't he? And his own lawyers today saying they want to be part of the process. So that's the real turnaround from what we heard, for example, last year when Zuma was challenging the state of capture report in the High Court in Gauteng. He was defeated, a huge blow in that case, and then proceeded to instate the inquiry, which we're now seeing unfold. And I must say, being in proceedings today, it was a bit of a damp squib, really dry, lots of technicalities. It's going to be a long, hard slog, not only for the inquiry and the legal teams, but also for the journalistic fraternity.
I'm sure we're going to be talking to you a lot, I'm sure. Erin, thanks for that. Still ahead, is there a genocide taking place in Eswatini? We find out. This is Tonight with Jane Dutton.